I love to laugh. I love to hear others laugh. So I'd like to thank you for allowing me to insert my own kind of humor to close out our meetings each week. And because of my weekly corny joke, I thought that humor would be the perfect subject for a talk. So I looked up the word. Humor comes from the Indo-European word humus, or earth, not to be confused with hummus. One is earth, one is chickpeas. Humility also comes from the same root, as does the Latin for humanity. Humanity. This has potential. Then I looked up the word in relation to spirituality, psychology, biology, anthropology. And after I'd done all that, I realized it was really laughter I was after. Because you see, humor is just a stimulus for laughter. And what is humorous? Well, that varies throughout history, across cultures, and from person to person. But laughter, that is a truly universal human response.
Thanks, Zach. So why do we laugh? Humor and laughter are closely related, but they're not the same. Humor is a cognitive process datable back thousands, if not millions of years. And laughter can happen without humor and is in itself pleasurable, a reinforceable and evolutionary advantageous behavior. After studying apes and Homo sapiens, Darwin said that laughter is an expression of pure joy. Other researchers found that laughter's main purpose was to alert the members of a social group that that guy's okay, don't have to run away, don't be afraid. And Jung found that the laughter was a signal that one was ready and able to cooperate with another person, particularly someone they just met. It is thought that laughter in apes, that kind of panting sound that apes make, is just one step beyond grooming and showing acceptance and connection. Well, humans developed language, and so they didn't need to have grooming anymore. They dropped it, except maybe just in public. When they're tickled, apes will laugh. What a great job to have an ape tickler, right? And so, primates then are genetically have laughter as an unconscious reflex. So it kind of must be a primate thing then. Well, in the UK, the scientists then got to work on tickling rats, that old reliable test animal rats, and the rats were ticklish too, and they did laugh, and they have recorded it. So now research is being done on dogs to see if they laugh, and many people have determined that they do when they're tickled. So laughter is a part of lots of things. It is not confined to humans or even just to primates. It's shown that it can do things like it warns, it comforts, it bonds, it's part of courtship, and it's not a learned behavior like language or humor. So why do we laugh? Because we were divinely created to laugh. And Victor Borges said, laughter is the shortest distance between two people.
Hey, if Mr. and Mrs. Bigger had a baby, who would be the biggest of the three?
I don't know.
Why, the baby, because it would be a little bigger. Well, if that didn't work, maybe this will, and maybe I shouldn't say it'll work.
Okay, let's see if it'll work. I'm going to share my screen. And that's what I want to say, share. And I am going to hit this. Okay. So that probably made you laugh.
So as Mom said, laughter is not something learned. It is a gift from creation. So it must have an exalted purpose. I want to share with you a quote. Laughter, as defined by developmental psychologist Casper Adaman, laughter makes life worth living. It is the soundtrack of our triumphs, which makes the impossible possible. It elates us, it consoles us, it connects us, it's contagious. It's the chorus of our shared delights, and it deepens our joys and our loves. There can be no better definition of laughter and no better champion of laughter than Casper. He has some great insights into the laughter of babies, so I'd like to share a bit of that with you now. At about 3 months, babies laugh for us. We might smile, laugh, and encourage the baby to laugh again, like the dad in that video. But they are laughing to get us to do something again. They are laughing to show us that they want in on the world, that they are one of us. They are laughing to keep us engaged. Adam also spoke of the importance of eye contact and the acceptance and connection it generates. Older babies and toddlers even seek out eye contact before laughing. I believe that we are entranced by baby laughter because deep down we are acknowledging it as the time or moment of ensoulment. Aristotle believed that when a baby laughs, that is the time that his spirit is entering his body. And from J.M. Barrie, the writer of Peter Pan, we hear, when a baby laughs, a fairy is born. But the most interesting thing about all of this comes from the Navajo tradition. The Navajo, or Diné, have the first laugh ceremony, and this is fascinating. It may be well known to some of you, but it was a great discovery to me. The Diné believe that a newborn resides in the world of the holy people until his first laugh. That laugh is a sacred time and a sign that the baby is transitioning into the earthly realm. It is a sign that he wishes to invest in this world. The person who sees that laugh is deemed to have caused it. And so, of course, a celebration is planned with the person and the baby as co-host. A gift of salt is actually given by the baby to each party goer. Historically, salt was a very valuable trade gift and represents the generosity of the baby. Her first lesson in generosity of both the tangible and the intangible. The gift ignites goodness in every party goer and reminds the baby to be generous with her laughter, her joy, and her love. One source encourages all families to have a party when their baby laughs for the first time. I certainly agree. I believe that the moment we get tickled into life is surely a moment to celebrate. Okay, then.
Here. Okay, we're going to play the concluding remarks from Dr. Adamans' TED Talk. If I can get them on here, share screen. Here, share. Now the baby will still be there, I think, but I just need to make him little. Let's see.
A little bigger.
A little bigger, baby. But let me see. I got to find a thing to make that not be full screen. I guess that's it. Nope. All right. I'm all set up, but I can't find how to make that a smaller screen. I'm going to stop. Oh, I know. I have to stop that share and do another one. Okay. I'm learning. All right. Give me a second. Oh, I'm not going to laugh again. There we go. All right. This is not as smooth as I hoped, but let's see. Oh, here we go. Here's an X. There we go. All right. Now I come back to the Zoom meeting and I share my screen again. All right. It's taking a little bit longer, but I think we got it.
Babies laugh more than us because they're constantly stopping to look around. They're little Zen masters. They're present. They're never in such a rush to get to somewhere else that they miss the magic of right now. When you are happy, make the most of it. Slow down and enjoy life. You will be glad you did. And if you're not sure quite how, just ask a baby.
Okay.
Babies are little Zen masters who never miss the magic of right now. I'm going to sprinkle my experiences with laughter yoga throughout this talk because I believe it's a practice that tunes you back into that magic. It sure did for me. Its playfulness and creativity awakened me. One school of Hinduism defines Lila as the divine playfulness of Brahman that brought creation into existence. It's like God tickled the cosmos into life.
And humor, therefore laughter, says Ernest Kurtz, rests in the freedom and innocence and playful spontaneity lived only by little children and great sages. Another quote that Zach and I kind of liked when we were researching this is humor is a prelude to faith and laughter is the beginning of prayer. And that's Reinhold Niebuhr. We can all conjure up an image of a stoic monk, an uptight Puritan, a stern fire and brimstone preacher. And to the outsiders, there's this reputation of a humorless inhibition and kind of pleasure fearing. For insiders, it's the respect for the sacred that requires this solemn affect. And according to, this shows how far it went back, according to Zen mythology, Sakyamuni Gautama was one of many Buddhas populating the cosmos. His followers laughed to achieve, transmit, or express enlightenment. They called themselves the laughter school. Well, the serious school disagreed, saying laughter was too frivolous to fit into any of the solemn monastic paths of the Buddha. And hair splitting, and maybe for some side splitting, debates on the nature of jocularity ensued. And then back in time, there's this hierarchy that was created about laughter that goes from the raucous to the very sublime with no teeth showing. And it was used to determine a way to rate a monk's appropriateness. So this idea of the incompatibility of our wisdom traditions with laughter goes way back.
Hey, a, a guy got an audience with the Pope,
Hmm. Who was it?
a representative of Budweiser beer. He got an audience with the Pope. He kissed the Pope's ring and he said, "My company is willing to give you $10 million if you change the words in the Lord's Prayer from 'Give us this day our daily bread' to 'Give us this day our daily beer.'" The Pope was offended and almost threw the guy out of his office. And the guy said, "Wait, here's my card in case you want to get in touch with me." The Pope looked around, and as soon as he was alone, he got on the phone and he said, "Hey, Monsignor, when does our contract with the General Mills people run out? And if you don't like this one, some kids were lining up for lunch at a Catholic school. At the beginning of the table was a large pile of apples, just large. A nun had written a note. Take only one. God is watching." And at the end of the table, there was a large pile of chocolate chip cookies. And the mischievous boy wrote a note. Take all you want. God's watching the apples.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now I'd like to talk a little bit about laughter and its place in our wisdom traditions. This idea that many people have that laughter and faith are incompatible is, of course, I believe, a misconception. In the Eastern Orthodox Church, there's a tradition of telling jokes, some clean, others not, on Easter morning. Imagine that. Laughter filling a beautiful sanctuary while the people celebrate the resurrection of the Christ. They feel freedom and liberation from the forces of death, and they laugh with joy.
Mm-hmm. And Zach found a story he'd like me to share. The famous rabbi Zevi Elimelech of Dadav had a son, Davidel, who was himself a Hasidic rabbi and had many ardent disciples. On every Sabbath and also on holy days, Rabbi Davidel refrained from the time-honored custom of expounding the Torah as he sat in the midst of his disciples. Instead, he diverted them with merry tales and jokes, and everybody, even the graybeards, would laugh heartily. Once, Rabbi Halberstam was paying him a visit, and he was amazed at Rabbi Davidel's odd carryings on. Who ever heard, he began indignantly, that a Zadok and his disciples should behave in such an outrageous way? A fine thing indeed to celebrate God's Sabbath with nonsense, funny stories, and jests. Really, Rabbi Davidel, you ought to feel ashamed of yourself. Come now and expound a bit of Torah for us. Torah, exclaimed Rabbi Davidel, and what do you suppose I've been expounding all this time? Believe me, Rabbi, there is God's holy truth in all stories and jests.
Garrison Keillor, the source of most of my weekly jokes, told the story of the birth of Isaac after explaining that religion was his favorite subject for jokes. Abraham and Sarah named their son Isaac as the Lord had instructed. The name Isaac means he laughed. It records the wonder and surprise of Abraham upon realizing that he would be blessed with a child as an old man. Many church leaders begin a sermon with a joke. The laughter, if the joke lands, does something important. It connects the group. It allows them to be one body in the moment. People will turn and make that eye contact that's so important and smile at people they may have just passed by before. And the quote from Rumi, everyone is so afraid of death, but the real Sufis, they just laugh. Nothing tyrannizes their hearts. What strikes the oyster shell does not damage the pearl.
Mhm. And speaking to unity principles, laughter is certainly appropriate. Our essence is of God, therefore, laughter is of God, and it was created for an essential purpose. So it's good.
I can create a positive environment through this laughter. It, it encourages, communicates, and connects, and it promotes joy and healing and love. And from this positive environment, I can live out my truth in peace and reach out to others.
Mhm. Now, Zen's relationship with laughter is unique. Seriousness, according to Ernest Kurtz in his talk about Zen humor, seriousness is part of the same entanglement that seriousness hopes to overcome. Seriousness includes the inclination to take oneself and one's situation too seriously. Now, holy things can become a basis for dependence rather than emancipation. And laughter breaks the seriousness of the practice as the student moves toward liberation. Anything that can become a potential idol then is a legitimate object of laughter in Zen. The humor of Zen is used to turn idols upside down, even if the idol is the sacred. There are some great Zen images designed to invoke this enlightened laughter to tickle the student into truths.
Speaking of yoga as a spiritual practice, laughter yoga encourages us to let go of ego through laughter. Through its practice, I experienced the spiritual liberation and joy sought after by the wisdom traditions. And speaking of joy, the Book of Joy is filled with laughter. I've read this book by the Archbishop Desmond Tutu and the Dalai Lama twice now. Each of these spiritual leaders speaks of the importance of laughter and silliness to show that we are all the same.
Mhm.
It certainly breaks the stereotype of the dour man of faith. And if we can do it, we're going to do it.
Yeah, well, if we can do it, I think we can do it. I'll put this up. I'll go back to Zoom and I'll say screen share. And then I'll share that one and I'll make it big. Oh, I'm getting good. Wow.
Aren't you?
I consider that person also is a mischievous person. Unfortunately, that person is Christian.
Unfortunately, he's a Buddhist.
There's a question of how you think about your own deaths. That possibility.
Quite polite. Quite polite.
Well, he doesn't mind too much because there's the reincarnation.
And I'm wondering, what is it about your friendship with each other that allows you to have this kind of extraordinary joy?
He's always troubling me. I admire him enormously. Oh, he's going to get proud. I'm just saying he is there for us as a beacon.
So I really love, you see, he always teasing me. And also I tease him. You see, so we really become something quite special.
Yes.
So, and also his face. is, you see, the head looks like a monk now. No? You see, this picture.
Okay. Okay.
So mirth, laughter, and joy, and play all play a role in our religious practices. And we all know it's the best medicine. So a guy is called into a doctor's office after a routine checkup. And after the doctor informs him of a troubling condition, he says, "Hey, doc, I know laughter's the best medicine, so let's give that a try." And the doctor, used to delivering bad news, turns to him and says, "I'm sorry. You're certainly right, Tom, but your plan, it only covers chuckles, snickers, and 5 giggles per year."
Okay, now you quote.
So train your mind to mirth and merriment, which bars 1,000 harms and lengthens life. A minor paraphrase of William Shakespeare. I believe in the health benefits of laughter. I had better after the immersion therapy I've exposed this church family to over the past year and a half. Some of my treatments have been more effective than others, but we're going to run down the health benefits for you now.
Okay, a quick summary. There's so much out there. Laughter is communication, connection, it's spiritual, and it is good for you. Ever since Norman Cousins reduced the pain of his medical condition through laughter, laughter has been the subject of interest to researchers and practitioners. The Mayo Clinic has found that laughter releases hormones that reduce stress. And when you laugh, you eliminate toxins from your system, and thus your immune system is boosted. Endorphins are released when you laugh and helps you tolerate pain. Your resting blood pressure was seen to decrease, reducing the risk of heart disease. A laughter will empty your lungs of stale air, taking in oxygen rich air that will improve your brain function and your memory. It also stimulates the function of your heart, lungs, blood circulation, and your muscles. Now, if you have a real rollicking kind of laughter, there's an increase and decrease alternating between in your blood pressure and your heart rate. And when that happens, you're left with the feeling of relaxation. And laughter also burns a few calories. The emotional benefits of laughter were also studied, and the long-term effects of better immunity and easing of pain resulted in an increased ability to cope with what is set before you. It provides kind of a respite from sadness. Even for a few minutes, that door can be opened. Um, Anxiety, tension, and general stress is relieved. Your mood is improved. You can't really feel bad at that moment when you're laughing. Joy and hope and forgiveness have been studied to begin to replace anger and hostility. When you accomplish more, your self esteem is boosted. One psychotherapist said, "I find that we really have a lot of laughs just frozen inside of our chest and they're dying to get out." So I bet Abraham and Sarah laughed every day whenever they called Isaac's name. The Lord knew what he was doing, right? And they did live a really long time, right? So it's great for our physical and our emotional health. And Dr. Madan Kataria, he's the founder of Laughter Yoga, and he speaks to the link between your body and your mind. Whatever happens to your mind happens to your body. Whatever happens to your body happens to your mind. He uses a childlike model rather than a humor model. Um, and by doing that, you can avoid any negative laughter that can be generated by humor, because humor is conditional. And sometimes the wrong stimulus for humor can actually take away the physical benefits. Um, and He said, by doing this, with this childlike model, you can condition yourself to live a life of joy. And laughter is also good for your spiritual health. Laughter and joy provide us with a wonderful opportunity to challenge the assumed sovereignty of the ego, said one researcher. Tolis was his name. Laughter is a tool like meditation or journaling. Practicing laughter gets you out of your head. It allows one to see the absurdity and the illusions blocking your spiritual growth and let go of ego. From the Book of Joy, laughter is related to the third pillar of joy as described by the Dalai Lama and Bishop Tutu. The ability to laugh at oneself, they say, is a visible sign of grace that flows out of humility. Thich Nhat Hanh describes laughter as an expression of enlightenment. He says it's the laughter of one who, after having painfully searched for something for a long, long time, finds it one morning in the pocket of his coat. Some psychotherapists encourage their patients to engage in positive laughter at least 5 minutes a day. Watch a funny movie, read a humorous book, share some stories with family and friends, to name a few. There's certainly enough stuff out there to stimulate healthy laughter every single day.
But what if laughter generated from the inside, without any stimulus? I know that the hand of God was on me, guiding me. Every time I saw a poster or a flyer for the laughter yoga class, it was like the volume had been turned way up. And someone was trying to get me to listen. And I'm so glad I did, because I was being given tools to help manage my life and what it would shortly become. Laughter was something I could do to help my body release tension. Because, you can do it when nothing's funny. You can use the power of your body and its chemistry to brighten your own day. Anne Lamott says that laughter is carbonated holiness. I like that because it's certainly what I experienced with this practice. We tap into that divine play.
Because laughter yoga teaches us.
Because laughter yoga teaches us that the body does not know the difference between forced laughter and the genuine article. It's a practice that can be repeated over and over again, just like any other yoga exercise. But what is it? It's hard to explain laughter yoga. It's a laughter club. And we start with breathing exercises. Just like any other pranayama yoga class. And then we engage each member by breathing exercises and eye contact. And then the fun begins. We play. Remember that magic of right now that babies never miss out on. We connect with that inner spirit. We give ourselves permission to be childlike. And before we close, we laugh for 5 minutes. I'm not kidding. You need to build up to this. Your face muscles and stomach muscles get a real workout.
Yeah.
And we end with a relaxing body scan meditation. And one leaves with a heightened sense of what's important in life and a joy with which to greet others and life as a whole. Each Sunday morning, I'm on a quest to get you here and all the rest of our family to laugh so we can feel that connection. As if we're all standing together in the laughter yoga circle, holding hands, looking into each other's eyes, allowing the electricity to pass between us, tickling us into life.
Thanks, Zach. And laughter is also good for society. Unconditional laughter connects across cultures and language. It's about relationships, it's not about humor. When you learn to laugh at yourself, you see what's important, and any tension of fight and flight is broken, and we can move forward together rather than to freeze or get paralyzed. It builds trust between people. It diffuses and deflates the atmosphere. It decreases judgmental behavior. It increases willingness to work together. Dr. Kataria says unconditional laughter connects people across cultures at their heart level, and it promotes the powerful tools of forgiveness and appreciation. Zach said, when people don't take things so seriously, barriers can be broken down and truths can be discovered that unite. We need unifying force that only the wise know the true value of. And when we laugh, wherever we are, we're all in that circle, holding hands, living in that moment. And John Cleese said this: laughter connects you with people. It's almost impossible to maintain any kind of distance or any social hierarchy when you are just howling with laughter. Laughter is a force of democracy. Um,
That's what Dr. Kataria was trying to say with laughter yoga. The electricity of laughter connects us, and barriers are rendered nothing. In lieu of a song, I'd like to end with a story from the Zen tradition. Now, this is the video that didn't quite sound as good, so everybody lean into the computer. Lean in.
okay. All right, there we go. I'm going to share video and say share. There we go. And
once upon a time, in ancient China, there lived 3 old monks. Their names are not remembered today, simply because they never revealed them to anybody. In China, they are simply known as the 3 laughing monks. They always traveled together and did nothing else but laugh. They entered a village or a town, stood in the center of its main square, and started laughing. Slowly but surely, the people who lived and worked there and the passers-by couldn't resist and had to start laughing as well. Until a small laughing crowd had formed, and eventually the laughing had spread to the whole village or town. That was the moment when the 3 old monks moved on to the next village. Their laughter was their only prayer, all of their teaching, because they never spoke to anybody. They just created that situation. All over China, they were loved and respected. The people had never known such spiritual teachers before or after. They seemed to communicate that life should be taken only as a great opportunity to laugh, as if they had discovered some kind of cosmic joke. So they traveled and laughed for many years, spreading joy and happiness throughout China. Until one day, while being at a particular village in the North Province, one of them died. The people were shocked and came running from afar, leaving the fields unattended for the day, only to witness the other 2 monks' reaction to this dramatic event. They were expecting them to show sorrow or even cry, and the whole village came to the place where the 3 monks were. 2 alive and 1 dead. But the 2 remaining monks were laughing only harder. They were laughing and could not seem to stop. So that a few of the good people who were assisting to this scene, in disbelief, approached them and asked them why they weren't mourning at all for their deceased friend. And for one time, the monks actually responded. Because yesterday, on our way to your village, he proposed a bet on who of us would beat the other two and die first. And now he won, the old rogue. He even had a testament prepared. The tradition required to wash the dead and change his clothes before putting him on the funeral pyre. But the old monk had explicitly asked to leave the old clothes on him, since he had never been filthy for one day. I never allowed any of the filth of this world to reach me through my laughter, his testament stated. So the old man's body was placed on the pyre with the garments he was wearing when he had arrived. And as the fire was lit and started licking on his clothes, to everyone's astonishment, suddenly fireworks of 100 colors went exploding up and down and to all directions. And finally, the people who had gathered there also joined the laughter of the two wise men. You see, in life, in your
Okay. It's the end of the story. Okay.
And so it is. Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Saul.
Saul who?
Saul there is. There ain't no more. No use knocking at the door.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Oh my God. God bless you both, and thank you for gracing us with your message. It just reminds me so much of how, and we've heard some funny stories in our congregation, God knows. That God has a sense of humor and made several of us, if not all of us, with an incredible sense of humor. Not giving us a sense of humor. He had a sense of humor when he made us. And he and Michael and all the big shots were cracking up going, look, Neil, you did that? That's great. We all have stories. I mean, tons and tons of stories. My life has been so incredibly, I've been so blessed and gifted and so funny. I mean, you've heard most of my stories. One, I was meditating really deeply. I mean, really deeply. And it was almost getting to the silence. And all of a sudden, this voice came into my head, and seriously, and it said, there's a beer for light workers. You guys know the end of this. And then right after that, it said, Amstelite. I am still light. That didn't come from left or right brain. I don't know where it came from, but it came out of nowhere. I was deeply meditating. I'm going, who's here? I'm looking around the room saying, who said that? And the other time, that I'm a very confused person. I mean, I was raised Jewish. I was sent to the Holy Land, guided to go to Mount Shasta and Sedona and all these places, and had incredible experiences. And somehow I got led to Mount Shasta and was baptized on top of the mountain. I got led to the Cherokee Reservation, and one of my teachers is a Cherokee medicine man. And then I was told to go to a Buddhist monastery in Poolsville to be indoctrinated into Buddhism if I chose to. On the way back, I'm saying to God, what are you doing to me? You're confusing the heck out of me. Please, give me a sign. The minute I said that, here comes this card. Said, why not you? It was a Mercedes. So I figured, I'm going to get a Mercedes. And God's like, oh no, he didn't say that. So he sends me a Volkswagen Rabbit right behind Mercedes. He says, I'll pray for you. So there you go. I mean, it almost should have said, you poor confused soul, Neil. You might as well have my name on it. But Bill Wilson, you guys remember Bill. He would prepare a joke at the beginning of his service, and he'd never tell his wife Shakti, and they said it right up front. And the reason he did that, because Shakti would laugh so damn loud that her laughter was contagious. The whole congregation would crack up from a joke that really wasn't that funny. Everybody, I mean, it's like.
So I'm glad that reminded you of people cracking up from jokes that really aren't that funny.
Right.
I mean, there's just, oh my God. I mean, the baby that you showed just reminds us how important it is to. You can't get into the kingdom unless you return as a little child.
Yeah.
Most of us are big babies, right? Most of us are like this now. So we could learn from that little kid. I mean, it just there's just so much. So please unmute your screens. I'm sure you have things to share. We'll just keep the video recording going for a little bit. There's one thing I want to share with you, and I'll probably put it in the notes. If you want to laugh after Zak's talk, Google Ismo, ISMO. He's a Finnish stand-up comic. ISMO. Google him online. He takes the English language and makes such fun of it. Some of his things are a little raw, but you'll get over that in a second when you listen to the whole entire thesis that he presents. And they're little 5-minute blips, not even. He is a riot. He will crack you up. Okay, so that's my thing on that. So yeah, let's hear from everybody. I'd like to, just tell us what's on your mind or in your belly. Yeah, John.
Thank you for the opportunity. I like remembering that humor, a comedy, comes from tragedy. And some of the most raucous humor that I ever heard was in the Army infantry. In the face of some danger, well, we release the stress with some laughter. And just one other thing, that in my youth, I was 24, my sister 19, my brother almost 15, and our mother passed away. She had cancer. She was only 48 years old. The worst possible thing in my life happened. The worst possible thing happened. Well, ever since then, I know that there's going to be humor in something. I can find some humor somewhere, because the worst thing happened already. Nothing will ever be as bad as that. So the sources of humor can be tragedy too. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks, John, for sharing that. A lot of us have had, events like that. Even at some of the funerals that we visited of some of our loved ones who was passed on, there were some really funny videos that were played, and we came away with just a celebration of life.
Yeah.
You know who they are, Norma, and just some other people that were really dear to our congregation. Just funny stuff, and that's how we remember those. I be careful what you ask for. There's a line I wanted to use from a television commercial for so long, and finally God said, "Oh, really? You want to use that line? Okay." So I've got shingles right up here, right? And this is the second time. I had it across my stomach many, many years ago. Now I have it on my head, and it got near the eye, which is pretty serious. But the one thing I've learned is shingle doesn't care. So now I get to say it, and I have the damn thing, for crying out loud. And I can still laugh about it. So somebody else. Yeah, Frank.
Yeah, I really appreciate all the work you guys put into that you covered just about every corner of humor that's out there. I really, over the years, you find things that your sense of humor shifts, and you just add to your repertoire, and and you try to find humor in a lot of things. You guys just covered almost all of it.
Thank you so much.
Very appreciative of that.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I like the knock.
I think you just outdid Leon.
Oh no! Oh, that's not true. Because
Well, Leon's been our teacher for some time in various topics.
Yeah.
So,
Especially laughter.
what is it? And I do this in my workshops a lot. There are about 34 muscles in the face. It takes 17 to smile, right? It takes maybe in the 20s to frown. You really have to work at it. And I always tell people, when we're doing our workshops and whatever, start a meditation with a smile on your face. Force it. Don't go to 17. Start off with 4 or 5, because nobody should risk injury attempting a smile. Right? So
I'll pull a muscle.
Or pull something else. Okay. Melanie, you had your hand up.
I wanted to really thank you, Zak and Jody, for shining your light this morning. I feel lighter than before we started, and the topic was just perfect and beautiful. And I have a number of thoughts. Actually, One thing that occurs to me is that a picture of Jesus that I saw in a New Thought church in Falls Church somewhere, I don't remember which one it was, but it's dark skin, curly hair, and he's got his head back in laughter. And I think that is what Christ really looked like, not all these solemn, solemn pictures. He was laughing.
Zach said he thought
What's
he
up?
spent the day trying to find that picture. He was, and then I said, "Oh, don't look for pictures. I don't know if I can figure out how to show them." So, that is a great picture.
Yeah. Well, that was really great. What was the Rumi quote again? Can you read that again? I love Rumi.
Yeah, I'm trying. It's part of a really long quote. I wonder if I have we can put the whole thing up again, but let me see your Rumi quote, Zach. I flipped all these things over as he did it.
Oh, that's okay.
But he can say it again. Yeah.
You don't have to hunt for it.
Everyone is so afraid of death, but the real Sufis, they just laugh. Nothing tyrannizes their hearts. What strikes the oyster shell does not damage the pearl. Got that?
Yes. That is so beautiful. May I share a Rumi quote with you about laughter?
Yes.
Yes.
He says, "This place is a dream. Only a sleeper considers it real. Then death comes like dawn, and you wake up laughing at what you thought was your grief."
That's cool.
That's a good one.
So I do think there's all these great wisdom teachers, the Dalai Lama and Desmond Tutu, and obviously like Frank said, you touched on so many aspects of laughter, even the root of the word. I learned so much. I'm gonna go look that up now. So I have a joke for you. Okay.
Yeah.
In my job, I teach blind people how to cross the street. So, and I'm blonde, so I have a blind blonde crossing the road joke. So, why did the blind blonde cross the road?
Why?
Because her seeing eye chicken wanted to.
That's good. That's good.
Okay. Thanks again, guys.
Thanks for that. I mean, Mark Twain and others, I love Mark Twain's humor. The classic, I've experienced so many terrible things in my life, and some of them actually happened. So, we have some of the quotes that I do is like Pablo Casals, and I did it in my workshops recently. He was one of the greatest cellists of our time, and in his 90s, he was still practicing hours. And he was asked one time, "You're in your 90s, you're still practicing 3 hours a day. Why?" He said, "Because I'm beginning to see an improvement." So we are improving, as Anthony Robbins said. Every day in every way. I'm improving somehow in some way. It's just right. We're so fortunate, and that was an incredibly inspiring talk. And thank you so much, really. So let's do our prayer for love offerings and tithes, which will bring me into another conversation. And we could all laugh through that one too. Divine love flowing through all of us blesses and multiplies all that we are, all that we have, all that we give, and all that we receive. And on a serious note, I send you some serious things. I put in a newsletter occasionally, and this was a pretty serious letter. We love coming here like this, but we have some decisions to make. And I've asked you to contact me, but if you're more comfortable, just leave a message for Jane. She can't always be at her phone, but you can leave her a message with just an idea of how you'd like to serve. We call it a pledge. It's not necessarily monetary. What you two have done for us today is how we survive. And what I try to do, as most of you know, is have at least one volunteer or somebody to come in and give their time. And then basically where our money goes is support people that have supported us over the years. All the singers and the speakers of various different topics and so forth. And we are grateful to have them. So the other option is that we can have more of you talk and less of them. If it comes down to that, I'm not saying it is, because some of you already graciously responded in many different ways, as I said, and I thank you for that. We all thank you for that. And we have been together a long time, and this is not the last time or the first time that Unity Center of Peace, Unity Life Center, whatever you want to call us, has gone through these times. When we had 50 people, of course, our overhead was much greater at the other locations. We've sent out messages, the board sent out messages, numerous times, especially in the summer months. So just give Jane a little idea of what you think you can do. If you'd like to give a talk, that would help. We just would, we'd bring in some of our regular speakers a little bit less. Maybe instead of a month, you might see some of them a month and a half. But I don't think it's going to come to that, because we really still maintain that we are a prosperous family, okay? And I believe that. And we've been together for too long to stop now. So now that we have Zoom, okay, we're Zoom masters, and we're able to meet every Sunday. So that's all I'm going to say about that. Jane, if you'd like to add to that, please. Because that letter that went out, really, I ran it by Jane first. It's not just from Neil, okay?
You said it very well, Neil. If anyone, you can always email me too. You got my email address. So whatever, if anybody wants to talk or whatever. I am still struggling to put together some kind of a statement of where we are. And I'm doing it mainly by hand, but it's just in procrastination. It's not a good thing. Anyway, I will do it. I've got the first 3 months done, and I'm going to add on the next 3 months and send it out. Just basically real simple of what our expenses are and what our income is, and where our savings are at this point. So we're going into our savings pretty regularly now.
And as I said many times, we cannot thank Jane enough, because she holds us together. I mean, I'm the unelected person. Remember? I keep telling you that. You didn't elect me. So make up your minds already, for crying out loud. We haven't had a darn election in a couple of years, but we've been so prosperous and so graced by all the speakers that have been able to come to us from near and afar. The contingents in the Carolinas and the West Coast with Bill, and Kentucky and all over. We're so blessed as a community, really. Not to have me, but we are blessed to have each other. So thank you for everybody. And everybody is really, I think most of you here have talked more than numerous times anyway. I'm just sorry that some of the others that normally show up on Sundays not here too. But hey, divine order, it is what it is. And so that leads me into our prayer of protection. Divine love flowing through us blesses and multiplies all that we are, all that we have, all that we give, and all that we receive. Amen. So if anybody else has some final thoughts, we're still recording. Yes.
I have a thought. I wish the recording wasn't on, but okay.
I can turn it off now. It's fine.
Okay.
Let me stop it. It's just because we've over recorded. So let's see here. Stop recording.